All right. Hey, what's going on, you guys? So I am gonna continue. I'm gonna continue working here, but I wanted to have a discussion about getting paid and people paying your invoices. So I had a discussion with a buddy of mine who informed me that they have some accounts receivable issues. So accounts receivable is when you're having some trouble with um, getting paid. Um, and you're looking to remedy receiving receiving capital into your business. All right, there are different variations of accounts receivable. Some are within your control, some are outside of your control. But when it comes to consultants and who have clients, and service-based business owners who have clients, there are some things that I think you should take note of in this live. All right, so one of the first things, and I sort of alluded to it earlier today, I wrote a post and I said, get your, always keep your clients and your customers thinking about the bigger picture. All right. Think about when you sold them on your services, right? You sold them on your services. What happened when you were pitching them was their energy levels spiked. It didn't spike because they were so excited to let go of money and pay you. That's not why they were excited. They were excited because of what would be on the other side of working with you. So there are some results, there are some expectations, there are some conveniences, there's some level of gain, there's some pain that was addressed from working with you. The key here is to keep your customers and clients focused on that gain. So many times we want to sell, and then once we sell, or once we even fully, well, not, we're talking about accounts receivable. When we're paid that deposit, what sometimes happens with certain service-based businesses is your level of energy tends to diminish, and then their level of energy tends to diminish. And all of a sudden, both of your energy levels are down here, but they still owe you money. All right. So when someone is not excited about the result anymore, they're not excited about paying you. So the key, the key here is for one, you have to make it easy to be paid. Okay. I can't tell you how many coaches and consultants I've spoken to. I mean, they're working off of crazy PayPal invoice systems, and they got to sit here and resend invoices and do this and do that. Make it easy for you to get paid. Use a system that makes it extremely easy for someone to pay you, or another thing that you can do is you can pre-authorize all of your payments for the rest of the project. Um, I use a tool called Stripe, and with Stripe, someone authorizes me to collect the payment, and then I let them know that I'm going to be using that method to collect payment for the duration of this project. If anything changes, you need to let me know. If your card or your payment method for some reason gets declined, then then there are going to be fees associated with that, that declination. That's how all legitimate businesses work. Okay. If you write a check and a check's returned, you owe a return fee. It's an administrative fee that you have to pay, right? So when you're running other people's cards, you can use something like Stripe to pre-authorize, and then you just run their card for the duration of. Now, mind you, this eliminates the need for you to be able to be chasing people. You don't have to chase people for money, but it also introduces a certain level of risk on your end, because if you get too many declines, then some of these places will sort of ban your merchant account. All right, keep them focused on the result. Keep them focused on the result. Another thing that is important is to um, technically, when you have a customer, when you have a client, you have to keep reselling them. You got to resell them on why the result is important to them, and you could leverage affirmations to do so. Some people make, again, you were having a discussion with them, maybe they watched a live of yours and their energy spiked. What can happen sometimes is their energy dipped, but now you are going to be losing out on revenue because they're not their energy level isn't as high as it was when they first initially purchased. Um, you have to re-energize people. You got to re-energize people. So um, when you're reaching back out to people, like let's say you want to get paid, right? Let's say you want to get paid. You can't It's going to be very difficult for you to sit here and call people and say, hey, you owe this invoice. You need to pay this invoice. You need to pay this invoice or else dot, 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 dot. The reality is if your project is anywhere under 5 grand, it's challenging for you to even take any further steps to try to collect money from people. It costs more just to collect. Um, so a better conversation would be, like let's say it's John. John, what's going on, man? Hey, hope all is well. Hey, for one, I'm hoping that you're doing okay. When we first kicked off this project, you were really excited about getting these 3 results, or you were really excited about getting this particular result, or you were really excited about solving this particular problem that you were having. And I'm also excited to solve it with you. Now, as you may know, there's still other elements of the project that we have to complete, and we both have we both have stuff on both ends of this agreement that we have to fulfill, right? On my end, I got some work to do. On your end, you also have some open invoices that I want to make sure that are fulfilled so that we can keep doing our work. All right. Now, um, that comes off a little bit better, comes off professional. Now, here's the trick too. When you're a solo business, what tends to happen is people feel that they're paying you versus your business. Now, that's a tricky situation to be in. Like, let's say you're doing work and people feel like they're paying you. When people feel like they're paying you, it seems it can come off as a personal transaction. You want to eliminate people's perspective or perception of something being a personal transaction. When someone's paying a business, what they're doing is they're paying for your ability to fulfill uh, those expectations, right? So if I were to say, hey, really need that invoice paid because I want that money, right? That's very different than, hey John, I really would like to have a discussion with you about getting your invoices paid. As you may already know, I utilize these resources in order to provide excellent service. If you have a team, I have my team that I need to pay in order to ensure that you get excellent service. I have my software that I'm utilizing to optimize my ability to service you. It is about you. It's about you. It's about you investing into the business to be for the business to be able to provide that offering that you expected. But again, when it's like, oh, you're paying me. I need your money because I gotta go buy that new car. I need your money because I need to go to that fancy restaurant. It comes off different than them paying a business that requires resources needed to deliver an offering. Your language has to change when you're dealing with clients, especially clients who, um, again, they may be on the fence when it comes to fulfilling the latter half of your deal. You got to keep them energized. But that's also another reason why I also encourage a lot of my clients to consistently create content so that they can see, like, hey, like you're consistently investing in your own business and you're leveraging that capital that you're generating in order to make that happen. All right. Um, everything is an investment. Everything is an investment. You're investing in others, they're investing in you. You're investing in helping them, they're investing in helping themselves. Like, it's always an investment. There's always some exchange that's happening. When you lose sight of what those exchanges are, that's when you start to see things fall through the cracks. That's when you start to have accounts receivable issues. That's when you start to realize that they're not excited about paying you. They're not excited about paying you. So here's another thing when it comes to having issues, or solving these whole accounts receivable issues. Um, you should have some type of digital signature software that enables you to have a legally binding agreement with someone. This makes it very simple for them to digitally sign, and it also should be clear so that if you have to present, if you have to present an original agreement to someone, you have that ready. Um, you don't want people to be, signing stuff and scanning it and taking photos of it. You want to be able to have digital signatures so that you can provide them with the means that they need to see in order to know that they are legally obligated to fulfill their end of the bargain. And speaking of their end of the bargain, when you're offering services, you got to be very clear on what their deliverables are. All right. So like an example, like let's say someone is selling me these AirPods, right? If someone's selling me these AirPods, I know exactly what I'm getting in this box. I'm getting the AirPods, I'm getting a cable to charge it, and I may get one of those little bricks, right? That's exactly what I'm getting. I know exactly what I'm getting. Sometimes when you're offering services, there's a lot of gray area with regards to what someone's getting. If you're consulting someone, there's a lot of gray area in what that consultation comprises. If you're providing someone with coaching, sometimes there's a lot of gray area in terms of like I've seen some coaches, they say, oh yeah, you get 5 sessions with me, right? And the challenge with if you're in coaching, the challenge with offering things in terms of sessions is that sometimes you cannot predict what someone's going to get out of that session. So when it comes to deliverables, you should be identifying what result you are aiming to get people, and then that's the deliverable. Or your pursuit or your anticipation for a result, that is a deliverable. But it can't just be a session. Like, oh, you get 5 sessions with me. People are not going to be energized, especially if they're not getting immediate results, if you're charging them by the session. Again, these are some reasons why people fall into accounts receivable issues. Like when people say, "Hey, yeah, I don't feel like paying no more," or "Hey, I know we have a 6 month contract. I don't feel like paying." People get they lose a lot of steam. They lose a lot of steam if there's a lot of ambiguity around what they're getting for the investment they're making. Very very few engagements can be done that way. Like someone literally, you have to be on average over delivering. You have to, on average, be over delivering if people are going to be willing to pay for sessions or pay per meeting or something like that. Like that doesn't happen very often. Doesn't happen very often. What trying to open the door. What questions do you guys have about this topic? I normally stop and pause to answer some questions, but what are you guys seeing? What are you guys facing in this space? Like, how many of you guys are in the service-based business? You have a service-based business, and like at times you're faced with the situation where someone does not feel like paying you. I've seen it all. I've seen it all. What have you guys faced? Talk to me. Talk to me. What have you guys faced in this space? You know somebody I don't feel like paying right now? I don't feel like paying my car insurance. That's what I don't feel like paying right now. I don't feel like paying my car insurance because they hiked up my rate. They hiked up my rate by 100 something dollars. And you know what? My aim is not to use it. Actually, I'm upset I'm upset at this. I'm upset at insurance because I'm penalized because I'm actually a good driver. If the value exceeds the price, then it's easier to get more clients. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, if the um if the value exceeds the price. Now, I'll say this, the value from a perspective standpoint, the value should always exceed the price. The value should always exceed the price. I mentioned I say it in a lot of my videos. I say that when you're offering people services, you you need to be creating an uneven exchange. They need to be separating with $100 to get a $300 valued item, or um, someone needs to, they're investing $1,000 because the value of what they're buying is is four. You create these uneven exchanges so that people have a perception that, again, it is an investment that they're making when they are separating with their money in order to get what you're promising them. And you have to be very clear. You got to get good at being clear on why someone should perceive your offering as being valuable. Which is this is where, when you have a certain level of self-reflection and you say, hey, you know what? How much of a problem is this thing that people are facing? How much of a problem is this issue that I'm solving? How can I how can I measure the value in that problem? How much time are they spending trying to solve that problem or even trying to find solutions to that problem? You take the amount of time they may be spending and what the opportunity cost may be and what the damages may be from having a problem. You start to add that up and then you're going to get a value, right? So, this is one of the reasons why attorneys are typically the highest paid, right? Attorneys are well paid because they're protecting you from significant loss, and oftentimes they're paid relative to either the size of the gain that you would receive or the size of the pain that they're saving you from. So, um, in business, it is just important for you to at least understand what that is, so that when you do go to have a discussion about it, things make sense. Things make sense. So to go back to what you said, Michael, the value the value should always exceed the price. You got to create scenarios where it is completely obvious that the value is exceeding the price. If you can do that, if you can make it so that it is blatantly obvious that the value is exceeding the price, then you will always make sales. There's no way not to make sales. You're doing people a favor by them buying from you. Think about that. You are doing people a favor. If they buy from you, you just did them a favor. See, I think far too many entrepreneurs, like when we get into the space, we think that we're getting paid because we need the money. But in reality, um, you're paid because someone is investing in solving a problem that they already have. And you have to think that way. You have to think that way. So, um, and you know what? One other thing that I want to bring up, especially with entrepreneurs, I do remember years ago when I used to really harp on people not paying invoices. I used to really harp on it. I used to get that used to mess up my week. Like somebody don't pay an invoice, that my week is messed up. And now I realize, the only people that have a huge issue with clients not paying are those who have very few clients. And those individuals who have very few clients and very few leads and very few opportunities, everything that happens to you is extremely significant. Now, the way to change that is to dramatically increase the number of opportunities that you have presented to you, dramatically increasing the number of leads that you have presented to you and that you generate, and dramatically increasing the amount of business that you have, so that when something does come about, it's not a it's not a huge hit. It's not bringing you down. It's a little wrinkle in your financials. It's a wrinkle in your financials. At the end of the year, there are a couple of things that you can do in order to recoup some of the funds that people don't wish to pay you. For one, if you have legitimate agreements in place, you can pursue that through litigation, or you can pursue it through at least sending demand letters. So a demand letter is simply an official certified letter that's sent to an individual who owes you, and it is saying, "Hey, I demand to be paid this amount, or else dot dot dot," and you provide whatever those terms are. The other thing that you can do is you can settle. So you can say, "Hey, you know what? This individual is not going to pay this full amount. It may be above what they're willing to pay at this point, and me demanding full payment is just not feasible for them at the moment. I would rather cut my losses." And I would say, "Hey, you know what? It's been some time. We're not going to remedy this through doing the work. So, you owe me 5 grand. I'm going to settle with you just paying me two. If you pay me two, slate's clear, and we're good to go. You never talk to me again, and I never talk to you, right? Like that's you settle." Um, uh, the other thing that can be done is you can put people on payment plans. So I've done that before. People have said, "Hey, Mike, I know I owe you, I owe you 3 grand, I owe you 4 grand. And I would say, you know what, how about this? Instead of you paying me, instead of you paying me 4 grand up front, since that's owed, how about we revisit what the payment schedule is, and how about you just pay 400 per month for the next 12 months, and I'm able to restructure whatever that payment plan is. I'm not calling anything interest or anything like that, but I am adding a little bit of I'm adding a little bit of debt service there because there is a level of time value of money. So you could pay me 4,000 now, or you could pay me 400 a month for the next year, for the next 12 months. That's ultimately going to add up to $4,800 at the end of the year. So 800, that's about what, a 20 something percent return. I'm not calling it interest. You're not allowed to call it interest, but you are able to organize certain agreements like that so that you can make this a win-win for you. All right. Um, what else on this topic? What else do you guys want to know? What do you guys want to know? Talk to me. Talk to me. I'll answer whatever you guys want to know, whatever questions you have. Talk to me. What's up? Talk to me. I know there's like 2 people on here. I hardly, hardly ever get people on my lives anymore. I don't know why, but I'm gonna start doing webinars. I used to do a ton of webinars. I used to just record videos and put these videos on the back end of a webinar, of my webinar software, and then like that was it. But now, like, I come on here Facebook, and Facebook don't show my stuff to anybody. Again, um the topic here is getting your invoices paid. Getting your invoices paid. Hold on. Whoa. Oh, okay, here we go. Easier if auto pay is set up. That way the payment automatically comes out. Absolutely. Yeah, auto pay is really good. Auto pay is really good. I will say that sometimes um there are situations where the payments are based off of events being completed. So, like, let's say, you go through, there's 4 phases to a project. Sometimes completing those phases is what triggers the next payment. So in those cases, the automated payment thing is a little bit more difficult, it's a little bit more tricky. But again, when you have those auto payments set up, it's really good. The other side to it too is if you're working with customers who want to use a different card for different payments, sometimes the auto pay can also get a little tricky. But invest in software to make this easier on you. Invest in software to make this easier on you. Years ago, it's a stupid but funny story. I remember years ago, before I had a Stripe account, I had I used to send clients this document that they would complete, and they would input their credit card information inside of the document and then send that back to me. What I used to do is I would take that credit card information and I would manually put that into a PayPal invoice and then run it. Like, that was my way of automating payments. It was so stupid. It was do not do this, right? Do not do this. And um I I remember one time I sent a new client of the form. I sent a new client the form to complete, to send back to me, and they responded to my email and they said, "Hey, Mike, I don't know if you meant to do this, but you sent me a form with someone else's credit card information in it." And I'm lucky that that individual was, a friend of mine, but that could have been way worse, right? So, and the reason why I got into that was because I did not at the time invest in software to make this process easy. If you have accounts receivable issues, there's software that's very cheap or even free that can enable you to minimize a lot of these issues. Um, how do you justify your value and your price point? How do you justify your value and your price point? So that is a good question. That is a good question. And I hate these type of answers, but it depends. It depends. So, your justification, your justification to what someone um is paying, or your justification of value, is going to be based off of how well you are in tuned or tuned and um, acclimated to the problem being solved. So, like an example, I had a discussion with someone earlier, and I asked, I was like, how much in revenue do you anticipate making from a campaign if it's successful? And they were like, well 10,000 a month. And I was like, all right, well, so if it's 10,000 a month, that means every week that goes by, that's about $2,500, right? So right now, how much are you generating? And they were like, oh, well, nothing because I haven't been doing anything. So now hear me out in my the way that my mind works, there's point A making nothing, then there's point B that's making 10 grand a month, right? So in between, there's a service being offered. The value or the opportunity cost in not working is 10 grand a month. For the year, that's $120,000, right? So over a period of time, that is the opportunity cost of not taking action or not getting that problem solved. So from a value standpoint, if you're framing your value, if you're helping people with generating income or generating revenue, then you can base it off of how much revenue they can anticipate generating relative to what they're currently generating. If it's a problem that they're looking to solve, um, then you have to find some way to quantify how much that problem otherwise would be. If it's in the health and fitness and medical space, sometimes you can validate it with medical fees or medicine that's factored in if you don't get a problem solved. Um, I mean, there's so many different ways to kind of add a value to it. Um, with the fact that the economic climate has changed for so many people, how can you still maximize getting invoices paid? My clientele has been cut in half because of inflation. So when it comes to economic climates, I'm gonna say economic climates when it's getting worse, oftentimes it helps the smaller businesses more than the larger ones. The larger ones are whales. They're not able to maneuver things that well. But the smaller ones, we're able to be very agile in how we approach problems. So again, like an example, like let's say you are offering a service and the service is a certain amount. In the past, people, because of the positive economic climate, people were able to pay a $3,000 invoice and then pay another $1,000. But now people may want to hold on to a little bit more of their capital for a longer period of time. So instead of charging 4 grand, you could do exactly what I just mentioned, which is say, hey, you know what? Um, Instead of us doing 4,000 over the next couple of weeks, let's do 400 a month for the next 12 months, or 800 a month for the next 6 months. Uh, you can get creative in how people are committing to consume your offerings because you understand that there's elements of the economic climate where it technically didn't change people's desire to consume your offerings. It just changed how they want to consume it. Go on go on Amazon. Go on Amazon right now. If you go on Amazon right now and you go to anything on Amazon, anything that's over like $400-500, they're offering you payment plans. Like look at this. Let me see if I can so like let's just say this lighting system, right? This lighting system is $398. In the past, it was, hey, you need a lighting system? Get it. Now, now we there's and this payment plan is offered through Amazon. So Amazon is giving you the ability to buy this over a period of time. The other element to it is Amazon is also providing you with the ability to purchase um, through what's it called? Affirm. Affirm. So like if you choose some of this stuff, you can purchase or you can pay over a period of time using Affirm. Yeah. So Affirm is a way for people to get what they need. I mean, think about this, right? Uh, think about this. Well, let me tell you a joke. Let me tell you a joke. All right. So years ago, I remember I was at this insurance company, and there was this guy he was from Lebanon, and the the mentor who was teaching us about insurance, he was like, he asked the question, how did you buy your house? And you know, the first person he went to ask, the first person he called on was the Lebanese guy. And this Lebanese guy, his dad is extremely wealthy. So he asked him, how'd you buy your house? Now, the context of the question was, what type of mortgage do you have? Right? But this guy goes, I bought it. And I'm crying in this meeting. I'm like, tears, I'm crying in this meeting. I'm laughing so much that my friends in the meeting are also are laughing at me, right? I'm laughing so much, not because of the answer per se, but of how oblivious he is or he was to stuff like mortgages. Like just oblivious to paying for a house over 30 years or over 15 years, and then paying $100,000, $200,000 more than the house because you can't just buy it. Right? Um, but there are some countries and there are some people who are like, they're not thinking about financing something over time. There was an economic climate that made it so that that level of transaction made sense. You can do the same thing in your business. You can say, hey, you know what, people just aren't, they're not consuming this way anymore. I mean, look at cell phones. Cell phones are the same thing. I remember a time when you had to pay for the entire cell phone. Now, I mean, you can't even go anywhere now without them encouraging you, telling you, do not buy the cell phone outright. Just pay for it over a period of time. They do that to bind you legally or contractually bind you to a contract. And now that cell phone is locked until you're done paying it off. But at the same time, why not get a no interest loan on a cell phone and be bound to a carrier? Do you plan on leaving a carrier anytime soon? The majority of people are going to say no. So to go back to what you're saying, yes, climates have definitely changed, but you can engage your audience in a way to get them to tell you how they want to consume your offerings. I mean, reach out to your clients and say, hey, what's going on? Hope all is well. Hey, um, I know like we did business together. Would you mind if I picked your brain and asked you a few things? For one, would love to ask you for a feedback video. I'd love to ask you for just some feedback, good or bad, to give me the ability to know what I'm doing right or what I may be able to optimize. If it's okay, would love to also use that as maybe a testimonial here and there. Let me know if I have your blessing, right? That's the first thing that you're asking for. The second thing that you're asking for is, hey, if you were to go back and do this over, what are some things that you think would be beneficial in this space? Like, do you think that it would be good um, if I were to adjust my prices, a certain way? Do you think that my services greatly exceeded what you invested in it? How do you perceive my service? Ask them. Hey, if I like when we did business, if I were to have offered you to pay for this over 6 months, would you have taken that? Or if I would have offered you a 2 week runway on making that first deposit, would you have done that? Hey, if I would have offered you a money back guarantee, would that have made you sign that contract faster? You can ask all these questions, and they'll answer you. Everyone wants to give you their opinion. They'll give you their feedback as well. Ask them. Ask them. Ask. What other questions do you guys have? Talk to me. Talk to me. Again, I think this conversation is important because we are, and going back to your point, Jennifer, we're entering into a space now where everybody better be damn good at getting people to to uh financially engage with them. I mean, you better get damn good at it. I mean, you gone are the days where you can say, "Oh, well, we're entering into another recession. You know, the banks are crashing, economic climate is changing, employers are laying people off. Uh, AI is changing the landscape of employment. I mean, this stuff is happening. So you can sit back and let other people have control over your ability to generate uh, what will source or what will fund your livelihood, or you got to get good at this stuff. You really got to get good at minimizing your accounts receivable issues. You got to get really good at getting people excited about paying you. You got to get people to excited about the bigger picture. You got to get people to realize that, hey, I need to focus on what's on the other side of this investment. I shouldn't be focused on what I'm separating with. I had a discussion with an amazing couple earlier today, and we're entering into a project, and a couple statements were made around like, man, like I don't like spending that much. I don't like spending that much, and every time that those statements were made, I had to bring it right back to, all right, what kind of business are we talking about building here? Oh, well, man, that's kind of, all right, what type of business are we talking about building here? Man, that's a lot. What type of business are we talking about building here? Like when if you consistently bring it back to that, you focus on the prize. I mean, the only reason why you would be having these discussions with the prospect is because they want that prize. They want that prize. Like even right now, like even I mean, you look at anything you spend money on. You spend your attention costs money. If you were to drive anywhere, it costs money. Everything. The conversation about what people deem as being a valuable product or service is changing. It is changing, and you're right. The only way to know what that change is by having them. You got to have those conversations. Part of the word conversation is convert. you have to you got to convert. You got to get people to convert and communicate what that conversion is. There's elements to a conversation that gets people to say yes, yes, no, no, yes, yes, no, no, and you have to identify what those yeses are and what those nos are. So when you look at what those are, that's how that conversation fuels your ability to make positive changes. Um, it should make you really excited. I mean, think about this, right? Think about this. Imagine imagine having discussions with people and they don't feel pressured in a way. Like it's not a sales conversation. Like they feel comfortable giving you their raw feedback on how you should get paid and how your product should be consumed. That's why you speak to current customers, you speak to current clients, or you have discussions with people who you have no intention on selling to. I mean, I do it all the time. I do it all the time. But those conversations need to be held so that, just like you mentioned, Jennifer, like you can identify how people deem something as being valuable um, or being just a commodity. Like there's a ton of services that people have been doing for years, um, that now it's not that it's a commodity yet. It's that the utility of it is a commodity. Like in the marketing space. Oh, who does social media marketing? Oh, well, this person does social media marketing and they create content. But then AI came around, everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, or you can create all this content for free." And to be quite honest, your social media campaign does not matter unless you've identified what your pipeline is. And that pipeline is more important now than it ever was. The content doesn't matter. And you know how many people are broke with great content? It doesn't matter. Content don't matter. The content validates people's ability to consume the things that you're offering. So I mean, it's getting harder and harder to close deals. I'm having to completely re-strategize. Jennifer, give me what are your offerings? Maybe I should be able to I want to give you some ideas. What do you typically what do you offer within a deal? What are some of the things you offer? Like what are people buying? What are people buying from you? Why am I not seeing the what are you okay, brand coaching, brand shoots with my team, and brand packages. Yes. Yes. All right. So I had this discussion with one of my buddies. I had this discussion with one of my buddies, and it was on this topic of the word brand. And I will say that word is like in in the investor space, in the VC space, there was a point where like if you brought up social media anything, social networking, oh my gosh, you need money here. Ah. And then there was a space where it was like, oh, Web3, NFT here. You know, crypto. Ah. Like, you know, and now there are some terms that are scary. Um, in it, the term brand is one of those terms that you just got to be careful with. I will say brand coaching, brand shoots, and packages. So the best way to close deals when you're using terms like brand is to have specific case studies where the growth of their business was based or attributed to brand to changes in their brand. So it could be you know, hey, company A over here, company A was having trouble with targeting women. Women account for 40% of the consumption of this particular product, and they were having trouble connecting with them. The reason why was because their brand messaging, their tone, their narrative, and all of their visuals were not speaking to that particular demographic. So, from a coaching and from a perspective of packages, with these deliverables, this enables you to have the brand power that this company had. They were able to 3x their earnings, and they were also able um, to be seen as a very different. They had a very different presence, right? Like you can sell it, you can sell it differently because, and I'll tell you, I would say the root of the problem are people's perception on what brand actually is. People think brands are like a logo and a photo shoot. Um, when it's way more than that, you know, and you know that, you know this. Um, it's way more than that. Like if I were to, let me see if I can find, hold on one second. Branding case studies. And I'm gonna tell you this too, all right? This is something that this is something that I've coached some people on, and I've told them, I'm like, all you have to do when you do this is understand your language. So you provide offerings, right? You provide offerings, and why does this look like that? Okay, here we go. You provide offerings, and but that just because you provide offerings doesn't mean that all of your case studies have to be about you and your services. It could be about things that you are capable of. So let me pause for a second, right? Just imagine if you have not created case studies that showcase the quantitative evidence that branding does A, B, and C, you can look at what others have done and you can apply that same capability that you will offer to their results. So you can have the language around, well, hey, company B, company like there was a case study written by this company called Leap Group, the Leap Group, and um, they worked with this company on blah 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 blah. I'm trying to find a use case document. Hold on one second. Maybe this wasn't the best. Give me one second. So so look at this, right? Um, some of these companies, like let's say Dooley, right? In when you're providing people with a case study, you can say the source of this case study is through Focus Lab. The source of this case study is through Focus Lab agency. Duly makes sales, and you can take this information and you can walk through how, what they did to improve their brand strategy, what they did to improve their verbal identity, what they did to improve their visual identity. And Dooley's logo type is custom built on the bones of typeface. But like you can walk them through this process and apply your seasoning to it. So you're leveraging their use case or their case study, but you're applying your seasoning to it. Just because you're referencing someone else's, just because you're referencing someone else's case study does not mean that they are going to go contact that company. Okay? I can almost 100% guarantee you I have never had someone take like I reference a ton of case studies. And I have never had someone say, "Oh man, what company did this? I'm gonna go call them." I'm literally like, "Hey, look, this is the approach that they had around blah 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 blah, and this is what I intend on doing with you. This is how I think that you are similar in this way, but I see that you're different in this other way. This is how my approach is going to be it's going to be parallel. It's going to have some parallels to what they did, but this is what my flavoring is going to be like. You can leverage other people's case studies so that, and again, the reason why it would be good for you, Jennifer, is because people misinterpret branding just the same way they misinterpret marketing, they misinterpret sales, they misinterpret strategy. I borderline don't even use the word strategy in a lot of my stuff anymore because some people don't understand what the hell it is. So like I want to develop a strategy. No, no, no. You you're using the word strategy to rationalize your level of procrastination. Some people are utilizing the word strategy because they're not ready to take action yet. So they want something to rationalize and validate their stagnation. Well, why haven't you done anything in the past? Oh, well, I'm still working on my strategy. Why haven't you started making phone calls? Because you're working on my strategy. Why haven't you why haven't you started to get these dudes? Because I'm working on my strategy. I want my strategy to be perfect. A strategy should be an amplifier. You should be leaning into doing something wrong so that you can apply a strategy to correct it. You can't apply a strategy to zero. Strategy without activity is nothing. So um I bring this up because again, there are ways, Jennifer, there are ways to make it easier to sell something that people may not fully understand or comprehend. Case studies is a very good start. Very good start. And also too, if I may, I think that sometimes people find difficulty in things when I can't stand people with little dogs like that yap all the time. Sorry, I digress. Sorry, I'm okay with little dogs, but when they have them in the sorry. All right, so um, when it comes to deals, if your pipeline is almost empty, then whatever is in it is the only thing that can quench your thirst. So every little drop counts, and you're sensitive to every little thing. You're sensitive to every little thing. Versus when your pipeline is full, when someone says, "Oh, let me think about it," it's like, "Okay, click." "Oh, well, I don't think I'm ready right now." "Oh, okay, click." Hey man, I have eight other people. I'm choosing. I'm choosing who I want to work with. Like, it's fine. Actually, you know what? I don't think you should. Don't call me until 2024. Like, it's okay. It's okay. Like, if you have that posture because your pipeline is full, then the difficulty in doing these deals is dramatically lowered, right? So, um, I I I I did a video earlier, I think it was last week, and I made the point. I said, sales isn't difficult, and everybody was like, yes it is, yes it is, yes it is, and I was like, what's funny? The only reason why people say sales is difficult is because they're associating an expectation to their activity. So when someone reaches out, like let's say someone goes in to try to sell something, they are associating an expectation, which is a purchase, to their activity. So when something doesn't go their way, like if they don't get the sale, all of a sudden they get disappointed, and that is where the difficulty comes in. Because best believe, if everybody you reached out to bought from you, you would then say that sales is easy, right? So it's not about the activity, it's about the expectation on the other side of that activity. Now, again, when your pipeline is dry, if you don't have, like, let's say you don't have 40 to 50 opportunities that you are currently working on a monthly basis, and this is as a solopreneur, this is just you, right? Maybe a small team. If you don't have 40, 50 opportunities that you're anticipating closing 10 to 20% of them, if you're not looking at it from a pipeline perspective, then what's going to happen is your expectations has more of a propensity to disappoint you. It has a higher propensity to disappoint you. If I'm banking on a $10,000, $20,000 deal and it's just one deal, if that person tells me no, I am devastated, devastated, right? But if I have if I have five $10,000 deals and one person, two people tell me no, I'm okay, right? So it's not a lot of, again, a lot of times it's a numbers game. So when it comes to the difficulty, sometimes it's based off of pipeline, and that can dramatically change how you perceive the pursuit to get these deals done, if that makes sense. It's such a all of this stuff. It's a game. It's a game. There are a ton of stats on how many shots Michael Jordan has missed. There are stats on how many shots Steph Curry has missed. And it's incredible. It's a lot. But, imagine if they don't take the shots. I did a video a couple of days ago. I did a video a couple of days ago, and I was like, man, you know what's crazy? The business owner that refuses to take action, like let's say on this end you have a business owner that refuses to take action, like they know they have stuff to do that they need to do, but they're just not doing it, and you compare them with someone who plays the lottery. Do you know that the likelihood of winning the lottery is higher than you becoming wealthy with your own business? I mean, who would have thought, right? Who would have thought? But imagine how much control you have when you say, all I got to do is just boom, boom, boom. Now, if you don't know what these items are that you have to do, then again, solve that. But it's, I don't know. I think this is why I love this concept of just business and sales. I love it because it's borderline impossible to fail. I mean, it's nearly impossible to fail. Like even like I had a discussion, this was years ago. Years ago, I had a discussion with someone, and they were like, Mike, I prayed about launching my business, and you know, after praying, I just knew I have to have patience. And I was like, okay, well, that's first thing you must do. Yes, you must pray. But tell me about this patience thing that you're referencing. Like what's your gauge on patience? Tell me about your patience. Oh, well, like I just, you know, I prayed and I have patience. And I was like, all right, well, so if can I give you some feedback on them? And they were like, yes. And I was like, you really have to make sure you're careful about confusing patience with with inaction. So there's a huge difference here, right? One of them, the inaction side, this is you didn't put in the work, you didn't do anything, and you're expecting something to happen in the name of patience. On this end, patience is you're doing the work, knowing that the results will eventually come. These are two very different scenarios. The Lord does not sit here and do the work for you. The Lord does not sit here and do the work for you. The Lord is not going to come and build your business for you. All right? Like the Lord typically always uses tools, provides you with tools. Like if you're going to be guided in a way, you still have to do the work. Do not be inactive in the name of patience. Nemo, I saw a quote that said, "Be impatient about getting to work, but be patient about the outcome." I couldn't that quote is that sums up be impatient about getting to the work, but be patient about the outcome. Be patient about the outcome. That sums it up. I'm definitely gonna repost that quote. Definitely gonna repost that quote. Amazing quote. So, with all of this, and I know I've been on here for have I been on here for an hour already? No. Um, I just again I want to encourage you all, if you're having issues with people being excited to pay you, then that means that they are too focused on the loss. They're too focused on the loss. When all of you jump in your car, when all of you jump in your car, you guys are not, as you're pressing the pedal and you're steering, you are not sitting here fretting about the cost of gasoline or the cost of the maintenance of the vehicle, or the if you have a payment on your car, you're not fretting about that. You're excited about where this car is taking you. If you jump in your car, the biggest decision that you're typically making, if you are making any micro decisions that's associated with the cost of owning a vehicle, is every day when you're waking up, all you're doing is deciding whether or not it's worth going certain places. Is it worth me? Is it worth me driving around town for 3 hours just because? Your mind is going to say no. Is it worth me driving to? I mean, I had clients this morning. They drove 1 hour from Daytona to come meet with me. They drove an hour from Daytona to come meet with me. And I am appreciative of that. I am honored that I have clients that are like, yo, like I am willing to get in my car and drive for a straight hour through traffic to come meet with you. Did they sit here and say, "Oh, well, you know what, I kind of want to save gas. Am I gonna balance? Like, should I really meet with him?" Like, that's not. It was an hour on the road to come meet with me, and I am appreciative of that. So, but again, that's a lot of that comes from I'm doing everything I can. I'm trying my best to deliver as much value as possible so that when people do say, "Hey, you know what? Like if the content he's putting out on live and in on his Zooms and in his master if that stuff is on this level, what is it like sitting down with him? What is it like with him with the iPad and a whiteboard, right? Too focused about the loss and less focused on the positive outcome. Absolutely. That is my biggest takeaway from this live. I'm glad that there's any takeaways. So thank you, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. And I do not take your attention. Anyone who's still on this live, I don't take your attention for granted. Like, I mean, think about it. Think about it. If and you should also appreciate others as well, right? Like when someone tunes into your live, they're giving you their attention. Do you know how many billions of dollars are being spent right now to get exactly what you just gave me for the past 30 minutes, 40 minutes? People are paying billions of dollars. Billions. Companies are spending millions of dollars on a monthly basis to get your attention. You know how valuable your attention is. So I don't take anyone's attention for granted. If someone tunes into a live, I'm honored. If someone says, "Hey, like I want to join, I want to hop on a live with you," I'm honored, honored. But here's the other thing too. Here's the other thing too. And going back to the whole accounts receivable thing, when I meet with prospects and clients, I'm looking at their business in a way that I'm working diligently to see the opportunity that my hope is that they may not see. If I am the expert in a certain sense, I need to be able to see something from a vantage point that I can help with energizing them about working with me. Like when like let's say someone says, "Oh, Mike, you know, oh man, I want to start this business. You know, oh, what are your goals? Oh, you know, I want to make a couple $1,000s a month." I'm like, you what? A couple thousand a month? What? You look at you have this offering here for 500. You have this over here for two. Like, why is it going to be a problem for you to easily generate 12 grand a month? Why can't you generate 15? Like, what is you're done with your offerings. There are plenty of people that are not done with their offerings, and you have an audience. You're like, why can't you generate 12, 15 grand a month? Oh, well, how do I do that? Now at that point, as if I can get someone to question whether or not they're not thinking big enough, now all I need to do is fill that gap with value. Once that gap of value is filled, then it's just a matter of them saying, "Hey, your offering makes sense for where I'm going and what I'm doing. You just energize me. I'm up. Let's go. Where's the contract? Where's this contract? Mike, why I want to pay up front. Where we at? What we doing?" That's the response I get. When you get someone to see something big, it could doesn't have to be dramatically bigger than what they were seeing. But if you can get someone to realize that their purview wasn't may not have been big enough in their minds, they see you as an expander. You're expanding what they should be seeing. And then again, you just have to you got to fill that in with value. And then you also have to, I mean, I'm pointing at the whiteboard. I know you can't see this whiteboard, but I like to use a whiteboard, and I also use my iPad to be able to add enough context so that it becomes realistic to them. All you got to do is all we got to do is these are the things that we got to solve. Let's break apart this problem over here. Let's break apart this problem over here. Let's get rid of this problem of let's break this apart so that you can say, "Man, you know what? Dang, I'm over here tripping about this one little thing, but there's this big thing over here that I can capitalize on." You know, so much to talk about. But again, you guys, thank you for tuning in. If you guys have any if you guys have any questions, hit me up. I really enjoy having these conversations. I'm gonna take this and drop this on YouTube, and maybe put this behind a wall so that people can opt in, like a sort of a webinar. I definitely think that there was some valuable nuggets in this talk. So thank you guys for chatting with me. By the way, before I go off, because I'm looking at my computer screen here. So all of my Apple devices upgraded. All of my Apple devices upgraded. My phone, my watch, my iPad, my MacBook, my AirPods, like everything upgraded. And Apple added some really cool features to this new iOS and this new uh, iMac software. And one of those features is how this is my iPhone. So I'm using my iPhone. I'm using my iPhone as my as my video cam. I normally use this. I normally use this, but this, the computational power of these iPhones, and this isn't even a 15. The computational power of these iPhones are sick. So I bring that up because, and you know what? I'll go back to you, Jennifer. Um, if you're still on, I don't know if you're still on, Jennifer, but um, I would encourage you to create things. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. People have anchors when it comes to things that they value. There are anchors, right? Um, so you can, like, when it comes to you getting deals and people's perspective on brand, you can record a series of videos. It doesn't have to be crazy looking videos. Record a series of videos, turn that into a mini course, or it could be a 3-day challenge, or it could be a reference guide. You could even record a video, maybe with some slides, and say how to hire a branding coach or branding consultant. Why should you, reasons to hire or reasons not to hire a branding consultant. It doesn't matter if it's to do something or not to do something. You can always divert their attention towards using you. Why not to hire a branding person? Here are 5 reasons why you should not hire a branding person. And you want to know what's funny? When you say stuff like that, they're going to tune in because you're tapping into their expectation. At the end of it, this is why you shouldn't hire them. This is why you should hire me. Right? Like you can always differentiate you from what they're perceiving to be associated with that word brand. Now, I say this, if you create something, right? Let's say you create some informative videos around brand and color science and all. You create in typography and brand messaging and brand tonality and stuff like that. You create some videos. It could be 5 videos that are like 3 minutes long, right? 3 minutes long with some descriptions. Let ChatGPT generate the descriptions, right? Put that behind a gateway. It could be a PayHip, it could be Gumroad, it could be something, whatever it is. Price it at $50 to $100. Price it at $100. Anybody who you think you might want to engage in business, hit them up and say, hey, look, I have this course for $97. It's going to help you with identifying, your perspective on brand and this and that. I'm actually, you know what? I normally sell it for 97. I would love to send it to you for free, but you got to promise you'll finish it. Are you going to promise you're going to finish it? And what's going to happen? They're going to immediately think that you gave them $100. Again, I can't. These methods work. Their anchor is going to be you have something worth $100. They're not sitting there trying to calculate how much it really is. If you give them something that is worth $100, there are a few things that's going to happen. You're going to have people that buy it at $100. You have other people that you provide incentives and they're going to buy it at 50% off. And then there are going to be other people that you want to close on a $5, $10, $20,000 deal that you're going to send it to them for free because that's going to be your cost to acquire, and they're going to feel like they owe you. They at least owe you their commitment to finishing the thing that you sent them for free. And don't even call it free. Don't call it free. Say, hey, this is something that I'm willing to give you access to this to this uh to this training because I believe that you're gonna get something on the other side of it. If you work with me, fine. If you don't, that's fine. But either way, my aim, and as long as you know that I'm over delivering from the start. Actually, I'm over delivering before we even have an agreement in place. Here. So, and we can do all of this with a camera. Or or we could record our screen. You don't even have to be on camera. Most of my most of my modules for some of my little mini courses aren't even on, they're not even on a camera. Hold on, let me, where's my folders? Didn't even not even on a camera. They're, so like I have this and I'm just literally just going through. I'm not even on camera. Well, I got on camera a little bit there, but I'm not on camera. Inside of this training, and it is really what log in. I've been using, again, you do not need to be on camera. You can straight up just record your screen, and that's good enough. That is good enough. All right, you guys. I gotta run. If you have any questions about this stuff, hit me up. If you have, actually, you know what? Here's something that I have. I can get this out to you immediately. Um, if you want verbiage on how to input, how to get people to realize that there's a consequence to not paying invoices, then I'll send you the verbiage that I use. If you want options when it comes to payment, options that I normally provide and how I phrase it, hit me up. I'll send it over to you. If you want um, engagement, like conversations that I normally start or that I use to collect things that I normally say, how I say it, hit me up. I'll send it to you. I mean, I'm an open book. Um, this I've gathered a lot of this information from other resources, and so I'm willing to send it to you. All right. My hope, and my aim is, as long as you grow. I just want you guys to grow. All right. This is all about this. Even inside of this group, it's a reach and revenue group, reach and revenue building group. The more you guys grow, the more you guys are gonna be like, man, where I hear that? Oh man, this is guy Mike. Oh man, what's his last name? Oh, Felix. Oh man, he sounds like he's a cool guy. Man, what else does he do? Oh man, he has this course on. Oh man, I should hit him up. I should, like, that's value, 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 sale, value, value, sale, value, 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 sale, value, 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 sale, sale, value. I mean, that's what it's all about. All right, you guys. All right, peace.